Welcome to Call with Dads. Let's talk.
It's what happens when you don't donate to the American Liberty Foundation. You don't have money to buy proper equipment.
So let's do this. Aaron, okay. And, I've been running your last name through my head a few times, and I already realized that I'm a hack it up. So, first off, I'm glad you're here because there's a topic that I really want to kind of dig into. So, how about this? To get us started, can you tell a little bit about what you're doing, what your whole thing out there in line is, and get us a bit of information about yourself so we can then dig into it all?
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Aaron Calcagno. Nobody ever says it right. They spell it wrong, but also say it wrong too. Uh, but I'm a single dad. I got a 7-year-old son. I've spent time in the military. Basically, I've transitioned from family to single dad, and I've been trying to help other dads as best as I can to overcome the challenges they may have. I recently started a YouTube channel, starting out with just making connections and kind of just trying to help dads any way I can and start conversations. So,
What branch are you serving?
Army, I'm a reserve.
Army. Cool. Yeah, I was active duty Air Force.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, same. Yeah, long time.
I know we always feel awkward when we say that.
Yeah, I just don't say it anymore. Thank you for your service. Like maybe in 1947, thank you for your service. But I mean, today it's like, oh, well, I got a retirement check or full benefits forever.
Yeah.
Kind of did it for you, but kind of not. So I'm going to be honest here. Kind of did it for a career and money.
Yeah.
But I did do it. I did do it. Partial was for service.
So let's dig into this, and because I really kind of want to, as much as discussing military is enjoyable for a dad show, the fact is the topic that really is driving this get together is single dads, because everyone hears about the single mothers. Oh, the single mom. And, I've been in a lot of my social media feeds, I've been seeing more and more single dad stuff come in. And yours is one of them that came in. I think you commented on one of my social media posts, and then, so who knows, maybe the algorithm saw me following you and then instantly fed me single dad stuff all over. But the fact is your whole goal isn't just to get a bunch of people to be all about hold on, I need to fix this, so I apologize to everyone, but I need this to look better so I can see. There we go. All right, that looks a little cleaner. So basically your whole thing that you're doing is you're focusing on not all the things about becoming a single dad, but the transition of being a single dad, the life of a single dad. And it's not really a lot of places out there try to make single dads seem like I'm not a single dad, but even though my wife jokes about it at times, but well, with all that, what is it that you try to explain to people that is being a single dad and what it's about and what so have you, and the transition from being a single dad?
Yes, I would say first it's definitely a difficult transition because I feel like we all have that dream of having the perfect nuclear family, having the home life with a mom and a dad. And I'd say probably the hardest part is kind of realizing that image of what you expected life to be is not going to happen. So, and the hard part is that once a relationship starts failing, you kind of start losing parts of yourself that really give the best to the people around you. So I would say getting to the point where I was able to finally process the fact that my relationship was over and that it wasn't going to be that nuclear family and kind of have like a new set of goals in mind. So when I was younger, I didn't have a good parent or good family life. My dad was present, but he wasn't there emotionally. Um, and that affected me a lot as a kid. And I feel like as men, we need strong role models. And for me, I never had that. So I always wanted to be a dad, and I knew that when I had a child, that I wanted to be able to give my best at it. So, um, and it's just a bunch of learning experiences because like when I first had my son, I try to just be the provider that um,
Mm.
they kind of like the movies like portray us to be. And I realized that I was providing financially, but I wasn't there emotionally. So I was out of the house working, providing, but I wasn't there emotionally for my ex or my son. So um, that kind of hurt a lot of stuff in the early on years. But then I realized what was important, and that was being there present. Because when I look back at my childhood, I think the things that stick out the most to me are like the moments where I wish I had a dad looking out after me. So like I mean, I always like think about my son when he's out on the playground and he's like, watch me do the monkey bars, watch me do the slide. Like to see the happiness in his eyes when he knows that I'm looking at him doing it. Um, that's the stuff I missed out as a kid. So I kind of live vicariously through him, and I just kind of I be the dad that I wish I would have had as a kid.
Mm.
So I think that transition when I realized that I was going to be a single dad was I need to be responsible. I need to get a home for us to have and slowly start to build that and then kind of differentiate the things that I didn't like as far as like parenting or the things I wanted to teach my son and kind of realize what kind of things I wanted to teach him for like for discipline for um because at the end of the day we're trying to build them into men eventually. So I'd like think of ways to make sure that he transitioned each phase that he needed to. Um, I led a lot on my faith through the process, kind of building who I was through that. And I would say I'm pretty grateful for that because I had a lot of good men around me that taught me how to be a good dad. Because again, I didn't have those role models when I was a kid. So uh, I think one of the interesting things I spoke to a father that he was older and his kids had become older, and like I looked at him and I said, "Your kids are doing great." I was like, how did you accomplish this? How like 'cause for myself, I think about that and like there can be no greater joy than I think to get to the age where your kids are adults and you see all the things you taught them and realize they're a good person, a good man. And he's like, first of all, you can't be their best friend. Obviously, you can have that bond and that connection and have that closeness and be close, but at the end of the day, you're the parent, they're the kid. Um, so he broke it up into the three phases, whereas like it goes in like 6 years phases till they're 18. So like the first 6 years is training them. So like teaching them basic things like
Mhm.
your manners, your potty training, playing good with others, and then like 6 to 12 is their age where you're teaching them. So like that's when you're teaching them like history or math or science or stuff like that, and then from 12 to 18 you're teaching them or you're guiding them. So you're taking all the things that you taught them, and now you're being there as a guide to them to kind of guide them where they want to be. Um, so but that's the end goal. Right now, I'm in. Obviously, my son's 7. Um, so basically, I'm just trying to make sure that that relationship that him and I have is something that's going to last a lifetime. Because right now, I have an estranged relationship with my father, and I talk to him here and there, but we're definitely not close, and it's definitely not like I'm not reaching out for advice. Um, so I'm a big firm believer that if you don't put the time and effort in now, you don't deserve to have that relationship down the road. Like I want to be a grandfather one day. So to do that, I have to make sure that now I'm doing everything I need to do.
Mm.
And a lot of those things is, I think as single dads, I think that we feel we have to compensate for things. And I see this a lot with like single mothers, and I see uh like if there's an absent father that they feel like they have to compensate for that missing parent. So they give that child every single thing that they want. There's no gatekeeper to, hey, they shouldn't have this, or hey, let's make this a learning experience. It's just let's give it. And then obviously you see all these kids that grown up entitled. Um, so I mean, I would say I give my son a lot, and I make sure that he's humble and he has humility. Because when I was a kid, I didn't have any of the things he had, and I think kind of the curse with like being successful when you're older and being able to give your kids things is that your kids don't know the other side of the token. So
Mm.
like for me, I didn't have any of the stuff growing up, and now my son doesn't know what it's like not to have those things. So like I feel like when I give him things, I make sure that he knows that this is a blessing to have. Like you having a lot of toys, that's awesome, but none of this is guaranteed. I was like, when I was a kid, they didn't have any of this stuff. So like sometimes we'll go to a park where there's, I would say probably some lower income families, and like you can see it on display what somebody that doesn't have those things goes through. Um, so I feel like teaching him humility is like the biggest thing I want to. Like obviously I want him to have everything that he wants, but obviously I don't want him to feel entitled. Um, and I think at this age of 7, it's been a pretty good gauge of where he is mentally for that standpoint, because I see it like in every day. Like he understands that other kids don't have things. Like the other day, he's like, Dad, uh, I think I want to give some of my older toys away to kids that don't have anything to play with. And I was like, for him to have that mindset, like he's thinking of others first.
Yeah.
So, and
So I got a couple questions.
yeah,
Um, so are you the sole guardian?
no. So, his mother and I have joint legal custody.
Like 50-50, or is it like majority you, majority her?
I wish it was 50-50. Unfortunately, the court systems aren't very favorable to fathers and men.
Yeah.
It's a really it's a really uphill battle for
Yeah.
fathers, and I think we
So
start
I'm
so
assuming
low.
majority on her.
Yeah, so she's the primary custodial parent. I would say I'm pretty
Right.
lucky though. So when we first started doing the custody agreement, I was seen as like a babysitting figure. So I
Mhm.
watched him every day after school.
Right.
And then I got weekends with him because that's when she was working. But then
Right.
when the custody became more apparent, I didn't want to give up those times. So I would say I'm pretty blessed from the standpoint of I don't have him the way I want to, but
Right.
I get time with him every single day. So I pick him up from
That's
school and I
good.
have like 3 hours with him. I have him 3 weekends a month, from Friday until Sundays. So like I have that interaction with him every day. So I'm pretty blessed from that standpoint, because I know there's fathers out there that have far less time.
Yeah. Like so my dad, my mom and dad divorced when like I was probably like 1 or not even, you know what I mean? I didn't right in that range. Like I was so young I didn't even know anything about it. Um but for literally my entire life, I would see my dad for 1 day, once a month, every single year for the entirety of my life. And every so often it would be like it would skip a couple months because something came up or whatever. My mom was not very nice to my dad at all. And I know Florida back then, I don't know much about the laws if they've changed or not or adjusted accordingly or whatever, but back then Florida's laws were like world renowned for anti-dad. Like they hate, like dads were scum of the earth, the worst. So they would always get the worst treatment. And it was everything, no matter how the mother or woman was, the woman was like praised as some goddess or something. So, but I don't know how
Yeah,
it is today.
I think it's hard for men, because I think for every dad like myself that fights everything they possibly can to get their child. There's 98 others that don't want the responsibility, don't want the financial burden on them. So
well,
it kind of,
that's what's funny is, so there's actually a lot of statistics out about that. So when I first started this whole thing, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of statistics. So statistically speaking, when they're obviously children do better in like every regard when it comes to financially, getting a good career, not going to jail, not doing drugs, all that stuff in a traditional mother-father home, right?
Mhm.
But when they're in a single mother home, they're like 380 times more likely to go to jail. They're like more likely to live in poverty when they get older, not have a good career, smoke, drink, all of these things. But when they live in a single father's home, the numbers compared to a traditional family, a mother-father home, and a single father home, the numbers don't change. Like it's statistically exactly the same. So living with a child living with a single father is exactly the same statistically in their outcome when they become an adult as it is if they were to live in a traditional family with a mother and father. So essentially the mother in this instance ends up being like showing that it's clear that the mother in the problem is the problem in that particular situation. Not to say, and we all obviously know, no matter what, it's obviously best to have a mother and a father, not just a single father, right? Not the knock on women. It's just funny how the courts went that way versus the other way.
well, I see it.
Even with all the statistics.
Yeah, I see it as like it's a nature versus nurture thing, right? Like they gave birth to them, they feed them with their body, all that stuff. And even like I think even when you become a parent, like that natural connection is there with them, regardless of like other factors. Like the mother's there, and I think for fathers, we have to make a conscious effort to build that connection. Because if we don't give them the love and that they need, they're not going to have it. I mean, like you said, like you only saw your father once a month.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that connection like? Because I mean, like my relationship with my son have always, I think, as men, and obviously being in the military, like the way that we treat our child is different. So I think a mother, when she's single, she feels like she has to make up for the absence of that parent. So again, like there's certain things like, well, I can't discipline because if they discipline them, then they won't like me. And if they don't like me, then they won't love me. And if they won't love me, they won't be around. Right. Whereas like, I think kind of the blessing of being a single dad, like as far as like being able to see my son every day, is that I can parent him in a way that I couldn't have if we were still together. So like I can teach him discipline. Like for me, I don't ever yell at my son. Like if I raise my voice, it's because something really messed up. But like I always use those when he messes up as like a learning experience. And like I want that foundation of love to be there.
Yeah.
Like because I feel like
I'm not afraid to yell at my daughter.
Yeah.
I try not to, but when she slings a piece of food across the table, and it's the sixth time I've done what my wife asked me to do and was like, now, honey, please don't do that again. There's a point where I'm going to get up and I'm snatch her off that chair, drag her to her room, yell at her.
That's where like that counterbalance is though. Like when you're alone there, like, you don't have that counter person saying, because they always look to one of our parent to be like, so, like
that's actually statistically speaking, today, not years ago, financial and monetarily issues used to be the biggest separation in divorce, it'd be the biggest cause in divorce. But today, and I attribute this to modern feminism, but today it's parental differences. The mother wants to go run down the rabbit hole of what do you call it? Gentle parenting and getting down on one knee to ask them for 37 minutes to tie their shoe and all that stuff. Whereas the father, majority of the time, kind of wants to go with that a little bit, but eventually can see the light and be like, no, now you're getting an ass whooping. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I think, like I said, being a single dad, I feel like you kind of have to balance those things too. Like,
mhm,
I mean, I think being as a kid didn't have that fatherly figure. I think
right,
you need both the discipline, but I also think you need the love and embrace. Like, so
right,
I always make sure I tell my son I love him.
yeah,
I give him hugs, I give him kisses, like,
oh yeah,
and I feel like that part's important.
yeah. Oh, if I
And
put a handprint on my daughter's ass, you can imagine a little bit later on, about an hour later, we're talking and I'm, giving her hugs and explaining to her, I don't spank you because it's fun or anything, or I didn't give you a spanking because it's fun, Well, but by now she doesn't really get any spanking.
yeah,
She's going to be 7 in like a month. So by now spanking's out the window. You know what I mean?
I think
But
what's really hard when they're young, especially like I would say probably ages like 3 to 6, is
mhm,
they have so many different emotions, but they don't know
yeah,
how to properly express them or voice
right.
them. So like a lot of times, like when my son was younger, like I would see the way he would act with his mom, like, and he would get angry and he would start hitting.
Yeah,
And like, but when he was with me, like he would start that and I would like put an end to it. Like
yeah,
again, I would make him feel uncomfortable. I'd get down and be like, this is not okay. Like, and like it was always like if I ever made him apologize, it was never just
mm,
for the lip service. Like I wanted him to understand why what he was doing was
yeah,
wrong.
right.
So with like as far as like the emotions and like the outbreaks and stuff like that, pretty early
Mhm,
on, I used what they call the zones of emotions. It's basically like a color system
yeah,
where like they had it was like red was like they're angry and sad, blue is like they're feeling sick or uncomfortable,
yeah.
yellows
The
they're
schools do that
confused.
sometimes when they have a red day or a green day or a bad or a
Yeah.
blue day or a yellow
So what
day.
I would do is I would have these balls and I would have like kind of like the ball pit balls.
Yeah,
And like he would start to like show like frustration and I would tell him, grab the color of what you're feeling. And then he would come over, I would see what his feeling. So then I could kind of like I could target the emotion that he was feeling. And I never like I think we as like parents,
mhm,
we like, why are you feeling this? Why are you feeling this? And like I found
yeah,
myself having to ask like yes or no questions. And I was able to kind of like, I don't know if you know like the charts where it's like yes, no, if yes, do this.
yeah,
So I would kind of like go down that mapping of like, are you mad because of this? Yes. Are you feeling that way because I did this? Yes, no. If not, like so kind of like building um that cohesion to be able to communicate and understand each other, I think
mm,
is what kind of set us differently. Because I can still kind of see the differences from what he knows he can get away with here as opposed to what he can get away with there. So like
yeah,
the breakdowns in homes, I feel like is definitely significantly different.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Let me ask
Women
something.
are a little bit softer.
Yeah.
So let me jump in on this because with that
Yeah.
comment about the difference between what he does there at his mother's house versus your house, you
Mm,
know, when my biological dad and my mom were divorced and all this, and the for me, my biological dad really, I don't think from my memory, he didn't seem like he was really caring what was happening, what was going on. It was more of those, I have to have my kids just because I want to
mhm,
prove. And for him, it felt like it was more of a, I want to show that I'm a dad, but I don't want to be a dad kind of a thing, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
a lot of his imagery and a lot of things he did was more for outward appearances and what's I have you. So when I was there, it wasn't really like there was a structure of, hey, do this, don't do this. It was more the free range kind of, I don't care, do whatever you want. Just don't break the law, don't break a dish, don't break a window, don't damage anything I want to keep.
Don't
Kind
break
of
Yeah.
my
a
stuff.
mentality. And if that's the relationship you have with your kids and that works for you and your kids, more power to you. But I mean, at this point, I don't even really even talk. Well, no, not even really. I don't even talk to my biological dad anymore. And it's been 15, 20 years. I mean, I've been married, had 2 kids and all this, and he's never even met or talked to my
Mm.
wife or my kids. With that being said, like my mom, because of my stepdad, I had more structure because my stepdad, right?
Hmm.
So with that, so it sounds like it's more reverse scenarios for your house and his mother's house versus how I grew up. With all that, how do you? So as I got older, my stepdad, I can't ask him now, but it always made me wonder what was some of the challenges that you face with that fact of when your son comes to your house and he's sitting there, oh well, at mom's house I can do this, or I can do this, or why not? I wish I was back at mom's house because I could do this. You know what I mean? Because as a
Yeah,
kid,
definitely.
I picture that coming up.
Yeah, so I think at this stage it's a lot easier. Like I said, we've been apart for about 3.5, 4 years now. So I mean, in the early stages, he was still pretty young. So like there were certain aspects I would do to like kind of have our house be a little different. Um, and I think as they get older, like I think things kind of balance out a little bit. Like I think the stuff he learns here, he takes back to there. I think sometimes the things he learns there, he tries to transition here. And I think I've taught him pretty well to like to trust when I tell him something that's not something that like I'm not doing it just because I want you not to like it. Like I kind of explain to him why we don't do the same things here, or what why it's important. But back to the point where you were talking about like your dad was it seemed like he just wanted you to get back at her. Um, I think when you become a single dad, you need to set your priorities and you need to kind of make a mental inventory of what's important to you because the road ahead is not easy for those who want to be involved. Like it's just not like there was so many times I want to give up. There were so many times where like
Mhm.
things weren't going well in court and like I wouldn't see my son and I'd just be like crying. But like I think if you have a goal in mind and you know what you want to be and you know what you want your relationship with your child to be, I think you can overcome that. And I feel like when you really genuinely care about that relationship, I think your child feels that.
Mhm.
Um, I see a lot of parents like I heard this one comedian, I can't remember his name, but like he talks about like the difference between like how our kids act and like the difference between this generation where parents will put a phone in front of their kid, or
Hmm.
like you walk in a store, you see a kid holding his phone up like this, or at
Yeah.
dinner the phone like that. I think when you decide that you want to be an active parent, you need to kind of get rid of technology altogether in the beginning. Like at my house, we don't have an iPad.
Yeah.
Mommy has an iPad. If we're
Same.
watching YouTube, it's on the TV and I have the remote. There's no
Yeah.
going down a rabbit hole. And if TV is on, it's usually for background noise, and I'm down on the floor playing with them. I'm like
Yeah.
having those moments, and I think that's made this part of his life so much easier because
Mm.
we had those challenging parts in the beginning, and they were definitely hard because he's like, "Well, at mom's I have an iPad," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, for me, I
It's like, well, we
value
don't.
yeah, I value the time and the things that we're building because at the end of the day, like these type of things, like drawing pictures or coloring or playing cars or soldiers,
Mm.
like that's the stuff he's gonna remember, and that's the stuff he does remember now. So for dads, I think you need to like for single dads, you need to make a mental inventory of what's important to you and
Mm.
what you want this to be. You need to put the stuff with your ex behind you. Like
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest. A lot of times in the beginning, you're like, well, maybe I can win them back, or maybe if I keep this from them, they'll want to come back for that. I
Yeah.
think you need to make a clear delineation and clear fracture of the life you thought you had and the life you want to have.
Mm.
And then put
What you
your
what you should
focus.
have done. This is what you should have done.
Yeah.
Should have been like, I love that you use the iPad. Can I see it and bring it to my house with me so I can use it too? And then when she leaves, oh, I dropped it.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. No, I don't have the money to reimburse you. Sorry.
Well, the funny
And
thing
That's
is
what
that
I've
the
done.
iPads at her house are the ones I had that I bought previously. But again, like I think like I think the hardest part about becoming like a dad, because for her, she was a mother prior, so I
Mhm.
was learning all this like to begin with, and I feel like it's just trial and error. Like
Yeah,
the reason why the iPad didn't happen was because I couldn't afford it. But then like when I realized that things are better without it, I'm
rotting
like,
nerves, his
let's just keep
brain.
going with this.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
I think life
So
comes at you.
can I ask,
Yeah.
what was the deciding factor between you and her to decide to separate?
I mean, it definitely wasn't my decision.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, we would have stayed together. But
You try and work it out.
um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it
That's
just
it's actually statistically more common. It's like 80 something percent, 85 or 86%.
the women.
The woman that initiates the divorce or separation.
yeah. I mean, it's weird. Like sometimes I
Mhm.
got served with papers, and like moments like that really kind of break your spirit. And
Yeah.
like in the moment, it feels like you're in a hell that you can't get out of, and you feel like things
Right.
are never going to get better. But when I
Hmm.
look back on it, I'm like, I think it was honestly the greatest blessing I could have asked for, because I was in an unhealthy relationship that I couldn't be the father I wanted to be. And
Hmm.
when I got those papers, it finally gave me clarity of like, hey, this isn't going to go the way you want it to go.
Yeah.
You need to reassess your values and what's important. Um, so I
Yeah.
feel like I definitely wasn't mentally prepared for the relationship to end. I mean, like
Yeah.
I haven't been married to this day, and like it stinks that like I wanted that married life, but uh, like I said,
Yeah.
I think adversity is the greatest teacher that we have.
Mhm.
I'm a better father because I didn't have a good father. I think I'm a better parent now because what I thought was going to be a traditional family got taken away from me.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I know they say, uh, if there is issues, statistically speaking, all that stuff, the mother and the father having both in the home is the best, no matter what. You know what I mean? Um, and I've been in this situation. Me and my wife have been like ready. You know what I mean? Probably more times than I would want to count, but every time both of us have figured out together. You know what I mean? Because we both of us work together better. We're better together than we are separate from each other.
mhm.
We both know that. So we always have worked it out, and things have been getting a lot better progressively over the years. But most of it was basically because we had a really tough child, and the child's toughness caused both of us to have just so much stress when either one of us had anything. It'd be like, ah, what I mean, instantly.
Yeah,
But I can see there are situations in which, even though they do say the mother and the father in the home is the best option no matter what, even if the two of you don't really want to be together, there can be situations in which it's better just to separate. You know what I mean? Like abuse and stuff like that, but also like how you said, you feel as though today you're a better father than you would have been if you were with her. Because what would you be doing? You'd be trying to save the marriage all the time rather than parenting your kid, which in a sense, your marriage with your wife is more important than always catering to your child. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So there is that. But if you don't focus on your child at all and you're always focusing on your wife, I feel like what would happen is you would every time there needs to be discipline, she would be like, no, and you'd be like, oh yes, master, yes, your highness. You know what I mean? You would never actually be the father. And
yeah.
that I can see that can be bad.
There was a lot of concessions. Like I
Mm,
conceded a lot of things that were important to me to try to make the relationship work. Like I stopped going to the gym because I thought I was doing the wrong thing. Like I
mm,
would I wouldn't speak up when I probably should have. Again, it was a hard dynamic because
Yeah.
my son was her second child, my first child. So it was almost like, you don't know this yet. You don't know this yet. So a lot of times was, sometimes I was even second guessed like in front of me, which kind of affected me. But it's funny now, like we went through the difficulties of the end of the relationship, and then we went through the court battle, and like that was all hell. And it's funny, like today, our relationship is probably better than it ever was when we were together. So like
Right.
there's peace between us. We both realize that we only have one chance to do this right. We don't. That's the one thing that's difficult about kids is that like you don't. Sometimes you don't have a second chance. Like
Right.
that's why I try. One of my mottos is to embrace today, because again with like milestones, like I talk about in some of my videos on YouTube, is when my son was first born, I would so look forward to the next milestone. So like him lifting his head or him sitting up or crawling or walking. And what some of the inventories I took early on was that I didn't enjoy today. Like I didn't like changing his diaper or rocking him to sleep or feeding him, like stuff like that. Like it went by so fast. Like even like now, like he's 7 years old and like we have these full blown conversations, and it's like he's never gonna be the age he is right now, even tomorrow. So like that's the mindset I have, is like just embrace today.
Yeah.
Even during the worst times, like I think I was very good at being able to separate like that component of my life. Like yeah, it hurts. The breakup hurts. The stuff I'm going through hurts financially. But when I'm with him, it's all about him.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'd say this makes it difficult for dating post, because I haven't dated anybody since her.
I would never. No, I wouldn't date a single person. I would never get married. Nothing ever again.
See,
never.
To jump in there, the whole. I will say this: if anything ever happened with my wife and I've told her,
Going to Thailand.
No, but I will say that I told my wife that when I married her, and I told her this from the very first day we got married, I'm only getting married once. I'm done after that, but I'm not going to live as a hermit. So if something comes up, I will date. I just will not be getting remarried, because one thing in my mind is that once you get remarried, then the assets that you build up may not fully go to your children or whoever you marry. There's a betrayal if you give more than what that person feels to your kids. So once the kids are involved, the remarriage idea kind of goes out of the window for me. But to be honest with you, from the very get-go, I'm a one and done kind of guy, where one marriage done, after that I can have relationships because I'm not going to spend my life all alone. But you don't, and this is all personal preference. Everyone, I mean, plenty of people get divorced with having kids and get remarried, and they work everything out in their best favor. I mean, let's be honest. My mom got remarried to my stepdad, and my stepdad was a huge factor in my life. And that's also, and my stepdad literally, I will say, tried to make sure that I had a relationship with my biological father. If it wasn't for my stepdad, I probably would have seen, and I would have probably saw my stepdad, maybe, or my biological dad, a quarter of the time, if even that. And I doubt he would have even cared, from the impression I got. So with that being said, I kind of wanted to throw that caveat in there so people don't sit there and think hey, never get married, never date, never just move into a cave.
Well, I would say the interesting thing is, like I said, I think you learn a lot from the mistakes you make. And like I said, I made a lot of concessions in my life as far as like who I became as a man trying to make a relationship work. And I think post that, like being able to have the 1,000-foot view of the relationship and where it went wrong. I feel like now I'm more aware of things I'm not willing to accept and kind of red flags that I
Mhm.
identify. And plus, I'm at a weird age, so I'm 39, almost 40, and I feel like being single at this stage in life is a very interesting dynamic because it's either the people that you're meeting are have been married for a long time and getting divorced, or there's a reason why they're still single at this point in their life.
Mhm.
And then like the difference between like ages of children. So like I mean, I've dated women that are my age that have 20-year-olds.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah,
like I have a
I was
7-year-old.
just
So it's
about to
like
say,
so it's like
for men at the age of 40 years old, even if they have kids and they're divorced and whatever else, for men, the dating market is actually still pretty
dude.
good. It's not.
Well,
It's actually
you
still
can
pretty
date
good. You just
younger.
have to date outside of your age. If you date
Hmm.
Yeah.
at your age, the problem is so the reason it's a problem is because you're dating women in your same age. But
Hmm.
the in the women's market, in the dating market, women at 40 years old, divorced with children, think about it as a man. The majority of men don't want that. They
Yeah.
go, that's bad, right? There's clearly an issue. Red flag. I'll hit it and I'll leave. You know what I mean? That's
Hmm.
typically the mindset of most men at 40 years old
Right.
or around, even in the younger, even younger than that, or even a little older. But men at 40 years old, women at that age are just trying to either connect and try and find another man to get on with, or if you go younger, if you're 40 and you go to 30, they like that because it's a little bit older, more stable, and even not for me, but even some of the older men at 40 like to go into the 20s, like early 20s, mid 20s. They're legal, they're of age, they're adults. They're just very
Nice way to reference it.
compared to you, they're very young, right?
Yeah.
But they like that older man, sturdy. You know what I mean? Most women at 40 years old with a kid, divorced, all this other stuff, aren't gonna find a 22-year-old man. That man's gonna
Yeah.
be like,
So
no.
I get with like the whole making your priorities.
Mm,
Like my son's been my priority, and when
mhm.
it comes to like dating and finding like a potential like partner, I factor in that part of it too. Like my thing is like would this person be a good role model for my son? And
Right. Yeah.
sometimes like again my dating pool gets smaller because I would I prefer dating somebody that has kids because I feel like single people without kids just don't understand
Hmm.
what our children mean to us. Like most marriages, 50% of them fail. Like if I do things right with my son, it's 100% success. So like
Right.
ideally, I would like to find somebody that has kids around my son's age because I mean I always wanted to have that family,
Yeah.
and for him to have like even step siblings would be a huge bonus. So it's like the dating market is so small, but like
Yeah.
again,
That
it's
makes
lonely
sense.
sometimes, but I think
Just
your
hit up Tinder,
priorities.
man. Tinder dates all day.
let
Yeah,
let
find
me
Mhm.
dates
jump into
is
a topic.
sure.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but there's one question that's been kind of rattling in my head right now, and that's been since you became a single dad, and every father they've like they had to think, what if I become a single dad? I mean, it's not something we really sit there and go, ooh, I need to think about this. But in all truth, it's been a thought. Like you get in an argument with your wife, or you're going through the whole process of divorce or separation or whatever it is. When that thought pops in your head that either it's a possibility for me to be a single dad, or I'm becoming a single dad, or I just became a single dad, what in your experience or what you went through is the difference of like from what you thought it would be to what it really is? Because a lot of, unless you have a single dad growing up that was present in all this, the expectation a lot of people have is what they see on TV or what they
Yeah.
hear people talk about. And
A lot of it's
most times
unknown.
it's not, most times it's not a positive image.
Mhm.
So I'd say first and foremost that I think as men we tend to try to hold things in and kind of make it appear that everything's okay when it's not. Um, I think that transition is an extremely dark time for depression and anxiety. I think for me, I leaned it on my faith and I looked to spiritual leaders and I got counseling to kind of deal with the emotions of going through stuff. And I'm part of a men's group for my church, and like I leaned in on them and I was completely honest and vulnerable with them. And I think that's why it's good to have talks like this with other men because I feel like
Hmm.
um, we kind of need that bond. And like, there's always the term that iron sharpens iron, and like I think there's different aspects of different people that have strengths that can help others. So I think you need to make sure that you're working on yourself as well. Like being a good parent is all great and all, but if you don't work on yourself, ultimately one day that's just going to crash. So
Yeah.
um, it's going to suck. That's what I could tell guys is
Mhm.
like, it's not an easy transition. You'll get there. I'm at a point where I'm fully happy with my life. I'm happy being single. I'm happy being alone. I'm happy with every aspect of my my parenting journey with my son, and we have a great relationship now. And I'm so blessed to have that. And he's my reason why and everything I do. But I think in the initial stages, you just have to concentrate on the emotional aspect of yourself and getting help if you need it. I
Mhm.
think it takes great strength in a man to be able to be vulnerable and weak. Um, and I don't think that means like you're bawling, crying in front of people, but I feel like
Right.
Yeah.
having that vulnerability, um, and plus I feel like if, especially like if you're a hardworking man, like you're going to work, you're doing the things that you need to do, you're
Mhm.
you portray a level of strength in those aspects of your life, even like in the fathering aspect of like disciplining and being that. I think it's okay to be vulnerable, and I think that you need to be able to ask for help. If I didn't
Yeah.
ask for help, I don't know where I would be right now. So um, that'd be my best advice for men that are in that transition. Once you realize that the relationship's not going to get fixed, I would say take every avenue you can to get fixed because
Yeah.
honestly, like the financial part of it is like backbreaking. Like I spent like nearly 50 grand in court and I still got
Yeah.
pretty much nothing. And then I started a whole new life over. Like when we first got our first apartment, I had a TV stand, a card table, and a bed. So not only are you paying out the butt for legal fees, attorneys, all this child support, but you're also building a brand new life from scratch. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that are gonna try to break you. It's just you have to be able to find ways of
Mhm.
managing that because you can't escape it. It's
Yeah.
just it's just inevitable. Like you got to get through it. You got to go through hell before you get to the other side. So
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
that answered the
I
question or
truly
not.
believe. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I
Hmm.
truly believe the courts and politics played a lot in, a lot of that stuff, purposely giving um, women like incentives. Like it basically took, to removing God from marriage and then the government incentivizing women to leave basically removed the leadership of the male in the home, which causes women to veer. We even like even women that like denounce, feminism, I've noticed, even attach themselves and even portray feminism characteristics many times. And I believe, they absorb those characteristics and believe that they're the boss, they're the leader, they're the one ever, this and that. And then they butt heads with you rather than, for thousands of years, all the way up until what the 50s or 60s when feminism really took a hold. When a man in the home was like, this is what's happening, the woman would, okay, you know You know,
Yeah.
they would discuss, you know, if there were things to discuss, because, you know, in the backside, behind closed doors, there were definitely plenty of stuff to discuss, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I mean, for the most part, you know, the man in the relationship led in all corners of the relationship, financially, you know, with discipline, with, I mean, with everything. So I think when a lot of that was removed, um, and a lot of women started standing up, now you get a bunch of men that know all this is going to happen. So now they're not only afraid to lose their marriage, but they're also afraid to have to pay $50,000 in court fees and all this other stuff, and then you're on the hook for the rest of your life and child support and all this other jazz. So every paycheck you get, half it's taken and given to her, and then a third of it's taken and given to taxes. So now you're left with nothing. So a lot of men, you know, go down the rabbit hole, because I know I did, go down the rabbit hole of, well, I guess I have to relinquish leadership to her and I have to let her deal with everything. So everything she says, I have to, okay, even if I don't agree. And I went down that rabbit hole. One thing that I figured out, um, she can tell me if she wants to leave all day long. And this is, I would say, for me, what saved my marriage was I told her straight up. I was like, look, you know, and this is a while back. This isn't now recent, but when we were going through it, I told her straight to her face. I said, leave. If you're ready, go. See ya. You know, I was like, I'm gonna tell you today that I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna, you know, give discipline like I'm gonna give discipline, like it should be. I'm gonna expect you to follow and let me lead in my home. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you want to go, go. It is what it is. But any energy that you give to me, I'm giving right back. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna be an a-hole to me, I'm gonna be an a-hole right back. You know what I mean? And I told her, even if you don't want to get married, even if you just want to be roommates until she's 18 and pretend until she's 18 just to get her through, I'll agree to it. But that won't take away from any of the rest. All that other stuff is still there. And I think that snapped her too. And she was like, oh yeah, I better straighten up. And I think I think that saved my marriage a little bit. You know what I mean? I think that was part of it, obviously, because she also wasn't really wanting to leave. She wanted to work it out as well, too. I think that was probably a big part of it as well. So,
Yeah, I think that was definitely one of the main factors in my relationship was the power struggle.
mm-hmm,
When we first got together, I worked in restaurants for a long time, and I was a manager, and
mm-hmm,
uh, I realized that I wasn't happy in my life, um, and I ended up quitting my job and enlisting in the army.
mm-hmm.
And I chose. I was like, want to make a difference in the world. I want to do something I'm proud of, something that means something. So
Right.
when I enlisted, I made sure I chose a job that would translate back in the civilian
Yes,
world.
yeah.
And I ended up being a reservist because I wanted to have a family. So I was going to go back to duty.
Mm-hmm.
But then I met his mother and I was like, well, I want to serve, but I also want to be a family man.
Right.
So, I mean, when I came home, I was a paralegal in the army. Came home, tried to get a job, couldn't find one. I was waiting tables for a while. So we were both waiting tables, and she was making more money at that point. So it was almost like she had the power because she was making more money, even though I
Yeah.
was still working more hours. And um, I finally got hired as a paralegal, not making very much money, making $20 an hour, and
Right.
but I wanted to be able to make something of myself. So worked hard, waited tables on the side. So I was working like 70, 80 hours a week. And then I was like, it goes back to earlier when I was saying I was providing, but I wasn't really around.
It wasn't there.
So
Yeah.
then like the mindset came from, well, you're abandoning your family.
Well,
So I think at that point it was hard to have that mindset of I'm the
mm-hmm.
man and I'm the provider when I was kind of in those transitions in life where
Right.
like I didn't really feel like I had a foundation to stand on. Whereas like now I worked my way up, moved into a different
Yeah.
career field, and now
Right.
I have a foot to stand on where I'm like,
Yeah.
I am a man, I am providing, I'm taking care of when I
Right.
need to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I mean, I think that's the difference between with age is like what we were talking about
Right.
earlier with dating is like your 20s is like you're discovering what you want to do. Your 30s
Hmm.
is working through to achieve what you want to, and then when you hit your 40s, that's when you get to like enjoy the fruits of your labor. So
Yeah.
I
Most
think maybe
millionaires don't become millionaires until I think the average age is 47.
yeah. So life is a funny thing. It's like,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
sometimes we're not ready for it. And it hits us right in the mouth, and
Yeah.
we gotta go with it and adapt. I think that's what dads have to do too. Is in every aspect is um, adapt. And again, I think these are all personal choices that like you have to dig deep in.
Yeah.
Because it's just as easy just to walk away. I
Yeah.
mean, how many dads do you see just walk away from it, saying, "I don't want
Yeah.
to deal with I don't want to deal with the stress. I don't want to deal with the issues. I don't want to deal with these
Hmm.
kids.
Right.
Um, I'll just go have a new life and build a new family." And uh,
Hmm.
it's it's a weird dynamic. We were talking
Yeah.
about the court system. I feel like the courts kind of reward
That.
They do. They
the
reward.
bad fathers.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. I
because
think they
if you're a
reward
father, it
bad
doesn't.
mothers.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're a bad father, you can relinquish everything. You can just walk away, give up
Yeah.
your rights. You're not financially responsible. Um,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of women that have like narcissistic men that fight, I think those women are scared to use the tactics or to use the protections the courts have for them. But then I
Mhm.
feel like for men like me that all they want is to be a parent and father, I feel like the court allows a lot of protections for women that they tend to use against a man that's not going to be harmful to them. I don't know if that makes
Right.
sense or not.
Yeah.
It does.
So, um,
It does.
like I don't have a mean bone in my body,
Yeah.
and
The
but there's
dynamics
enough.
today are actually much different than they used to be. So around like the 70s and 80s, um, the dynamics of men being like, screw it, later, it was way higher. And today, it's like way different. Now it's funny again. Not to harp on women. I love women. I'm not anti women or nothing. Just saying, it's basing off statistics. You know what I mean? Going off the numbers. Today, it's actually the women that are like
Yeah,
they don't want to. They're promiscuous. They have no like morals. They don't want to stick around. They don't care, and they have no attachments to their children. Like my one of my brothers, his wife was like, "See ya." So he's a single dad, full custody, and she literally was like, "Later, 100%."
it's so wild too. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I hear so many excuses for why people like do the things they
Mm-hmm.
do. Well, I didn't have a good parent. I didn't have a good childhood. I'm like,
Yeah,
that stuff. Like I
it's
had a
just an
bad childhood.
excuse.
Like
Grow up,
I think
you know.
I think your past is not what defines you. I think it's just
Right?
something you went through. Like you have the ability. God gave you free will.
Yeah. Be
He
the
gave you
one
the
to break the
ability to,
cycle. Yeah.
yeah.
Be the
But that's
change.
I can't imagine giving up your child, like mother or
Right.
father. Like I remember the day I met
Mhm.
my son. Like it was wild. Like I looked at him and like he just came out. And I'm like, I've never loved anything as much as I love this thing.
Right.
And I just met him, and like already like
Yeah.
he blows away like any feelings I've had for a parent, a sibling, a friend.
Mhm.
I'm like, I would do anything to protect
Yeah.
this person, even if it was my
I,
own life.
I
That's
told my wife if she divorces me, I told her if you divorce me while we still have our daughter, I was like, you can have her 100%. The two of you go live in your insanity. I'm gonna go to Thailand and just like Scrooge McDuck dives into the coins. I'm gonna have that many like pretty Thai girls just in a bowl, and I'm just gonna dive into their beauty.
Interesting.
Obviously joking with her. She laughed, of course. Yeah.
You know, kind of diving into what was just being said about the past and this and that. It's funny you mentioned that because my wife and I we were driving and we were talking about parenting styles and all this. And the one thing that I remember that I said to her is that the big difference is between her and I is how we were raised. I was raised here in the States with my mom and stepdad who had a parenting mentality, and I grew up seeing a healthy relationship between them. And my wife grew up in China where the thought process of how to raise a child is much different. It's
Mhm.
not like a lot of Chinese culture, from what I understand, is if the parent wants you to go into a specific field, that's what you go into. It's not like here, my son loves
Yeah.
nature. So we indulge it to kind of help bring it out and all this. So the mentality and how we were raised and all these things do play effect on how we raise our kids. But on the same note, like I told her, if I would allow my biological dad's habits and the things that he did, and, he could be incredibly different now than what I remember him as. And it's possible, like I said, 15, 20 years, people do change over that amount of time. But on the
Mhm.
same note, if I used the tactics and the things that he did and all this growing up, I would not feel like I'm being a good dad in that sense, or who knows, maybe I wouldn't even think about it. But the general note is I realized that that was not the type of parenting I wanted to be. So and I told her, you can choose. It's not easy. It's not always easy to
Mhm.
say, oh, well, I'm not ever going to do that because my parents did that, or I'm going to try to mimic that. It has to be a conscience, I can't even say it now. What's a conscientious decision to
Conscientious.
Yeah.
something like
Conscientious.
that. But it has to be a decision you make knowing that you have to work with it, because I had to train myself not to do certain things even before I had a kid that I saw my biological father doing, that I said, I'm not going to do that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Then as a parent, I'm like, I'm not going to, like, my biological father never, as far as I remember, never put a hand on me, right? But his big thing was guilt. Anything you did. Well, I'm disappointed in you. You let me
Mhm.
down. It was all about how I made him feel. And that whole concept made me, at first, as a young kid, you're sitting there going, okay, well, now I feel bad that I made you feel bad.
Yeah.
But I also realized that once once that tactic's been used your entire childhood, you get to a point saying, I don't care. You're always disappointed. You're always this. It's it's kind of that whole, the mental or the emotional punishment kind of thing. It's, I guess best way is, like, I don't spank my son anymore because, one, I've never hit him hard enough to make him actually feel pain. It was more of an emotional, daddy's
Yeah.
upset kind of a thing. And he's at the point of, well, that didn't hurt. I'm like, it's not meant to hurt. It's
Mhm.
meant for you to realize. So I do push ups now. And then once he gets good
Yeah.
at that, he's going to be doing burpees. And once he gets at that, I mean, there's a whole, I'll have him plank for 5 minutes if he can do it.
Mhm.
By the time he hits
Yeah.
teenager, he's going to be well built.
I think this is a good transition. I think as dads, I think our ability to be self-aware, I think is extremely important. I feel like I know in the army we do what we call after action reviews of like what is something we did right, what is something we did wrong, and what's something we can continue to
Mhm.
do. So like there's so many times where like I would react in a way that I could see what its outcome like what it brought to him. And but there's sometimes I felt horrible. I'm like the way I acted in that situation. And like I feel like being able to identify when you make mistakes and to be able to kind of make those corrections, I think is important. Like the thing with me is like I never I remember as a kid, like, and I even think like even going to the military, it's kind of instilled in me is that like a lot of times we we hid things from our parents or a person of authority because we didn't want the reaction. And for
Right.
me, it's like I never wanted my son, I don't want my son to ever fear the punishment more than like the moral dilemma it'll make in him. Like I don't want him to not do something because he's scared I'm going to hit him. Like I
Right.
want him not to do something because he understands that if I do this, this will happen. So like, but
You're
again,
gonna
like I
smoke
think,
weed, smoke it at the house,
yeah.
not with your friends.
Well, I think about that like from a young age, like because like at the point where like when he gets to be older, when he's like going into high school or college,
Mhm.
like I don't want him to hide things to me. I like
Right.
as much as I don't want him doing things, like I want him to be able to come to me because he feels comfortable that I'm
Mhm.
gonna accept it, even if it's bad. I can be upset for a little bit, but I'm going to do what I can to guide him in the right direction. Like case in
Yeah.
point, last year on around Halloween time, we went to a like a pumpkin parade at night, and he got a glow stick. And we get home, and he's like swinging this thing around, and the glow stick flies off the string right into the TV, and the TV like disappears into a little dot. And like in that moment, I could have seen myself just like screaming at him,
Yeah.
and like just for a second, I stopped and like I just took a deep breath, and I'm like, I only have one chance to do this part right. Like if I go this direction, it could change the trajectory of everything he does. So like took a moment, walked away, went in the other room, took a deep breath, came back in. I was like, I still love you. I was like, I'm upset, but I'm not mad at you. I was like, did you learn something from this? Do you know not to do this the next time? Like, do you know not to swing things in the house? Do you know not to do this? And the crazy part is like he never he never broke anything before, like doing anything. But the one thing he finally did break was the most expensive thing in our house. So again, like it just it's very hard learning patience, especially from somebody who didn't have that when you were a kid. But
Hmm.
again, like my first mindset is what did I need as a kid? If I was him right now, what would I need to hear or what would I need to see to make sure that I made the best decisions possible for it? So sometimes like that's the hard part is like I like marking a moment mentally and knowing I need to take a second to really digest how to go with this. And because sometimes it needs to be like a snap decision.
Hmm.
So I think that's the hard part is like this being self-aware part.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
it's definitely harder to be self-aware when you're trying to look at yourself in the sense of what do I need to improve? I mean, if it was easy, there'd probably be 80% less of these self-help books that there are. But the fact is I mean, it's challenging being a parent, and you know, it's I think about how challenging it is for my wife and I being together. I can imagine how challenging it is as a single dad, and I'm only speculating because in all truth, unless I'm put into that position, I honestly will never know. Now, one thing, Aaron, I want to kind of ask you is what, because we're going to wrap this up, but one thing I want to make sure that people know is why are you out here talking to people or putting out the message or even doing the dad jokes a day you do on your YouTube channel? What is your whole point of all this? Because there's people that are going to tell you all sorts of things about being a single dad. What is your big message?
So I've gone through a lot of things in my life, a lot of adversities and like a lot of things that like I said, I didn't have the direction as a kid and I didn't have the father I would have wanted. And like even going through becoming a parent and going through custody and stuff like that, there wasn't really a lot of resources out there that really gave the side and the feelings of the dad. Like if you go online and you search going through family court, it's just tactics of trying to like win in court. And like tactics are great and stuff, but how does that prepare me to be a better parent? So I think it's like a lot of people that use humor. I use humor and laughter as a way to get through a lot of tough times in my life. And I think when I became a dad, like at work, I always start out every meeting with a dad joke because it has a sense of being able to like kind of disarm people a little bit because they're so stupid and they're so like simple and like based upon like puns that like it kind of disarms you a little bit, kind of relaxes you a little bit. So, I mean, ultimately, my goal was to originally just make videos about connecting with fathers and kind of working way through, but like I still see that there's not really a niche for that yet. I mean, because if you look at my videos online, like my parenting ones all have less than like I think one has like 14 views, the other one has 10, the one has 5. But then like my videos about like getting ready for the military have hundreds of views. And honestly, just I think being able to make dads laugh, and I recently started doing kids jokes because I figure if I can make jokes where a dad can go tell his son or a dad can go tell his daughter, and they can have that moment where they laugh, that like that can be a moment where they can kind of have. Like I said, there's very dark days that single dads go through, and if I could just make one moment where I can make one person laugh, then like that's my mission, is to just help one person. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you about the whole dad community out there, because I can tell you how many dad podcasts and shows that I've watched that just drop off because they're not getting the recognition or it's challenging. I mean, I look at like my wife, less than a month ago, she started a YouTube channel just showing videos of the cats, like 5, 10, 30 seconds of cat videos, right? She has in 1 month doubled the amount of subscribers we have. Our shorts even gets, just from these conversations, gets over 1,000 views, where the long form video people listening to the whole conversation is 20, maybe 30, depending on the topic, things like that. Our podcast, we're literally on audio, so anyone can listen to it through their audio players, YouTube, Rumble. We're all over the place. And you look at the stuff that has no real emotional connection. So it is a challenge, and I do think you're right that getting the message out there, that's why talking with you feels like a good thing, because your message of fathers having somebody to talk with or somebody to hear you're not alone is important. And bringing back, hey, just because you're a single dad doesn't mean you need to stop with your values, with your teachings and things like that. Let's do this. If somebody wants to reach out to you or find you, where do they go? Where can they find you?
So if you go on YouTube, you search Boy Dad Life, all one word, 612. So Boy Dad Life 612 on YouTube, and the same on Twitter. And if there's single dads out there that have questions, they can feel free to direct message me on Twitter. I'm messaging a dad right now that I met on Twitter that I'm now on Facebook with, kind of walking through the steps of like things to understand and identify going through this court system, because for a lot of men, it's hard to get rid of that emotional lashing out in the beginning stages of becoming a dad. And I think until you're out of that storm, you can't really have clarity in like where you made mistakes. So if I can make one dad realize, hey, let me not make this rash decision right now, and hopefully it'll save that dad down the road. So again, with like I think with the YouTube stuff, and you're talking about like the number of views, and I think it's the quantity versus the quality. So like I make the dad jokes because I want other dads to see that I'm engaging, that like I enjoy being a dad so much that like I want to tell stupid jokes that makes other dads laugh. And I try to put it in different like areas of my house that kind of centerpiece, like my son's room or like in front of pictures of him. Um, because like I want them to be able to resonate and to relate to me so that they can be helped. And then hopefully those views that they get from the shorts lead them into my longer content where I'm actually breaking down the steps that I took to be the best dad I could. So again, like it would be great to go viral and have like 50 million views and 200,000 subscribers. But honestly, if even if there's one person on here that's listening right now that took the advice or took something that we spoke about and is able to take that and apply that to their life, even just like if it's one little thing, and their journey becomes a little better because of that, that's what I care about. So
Mm.
I
Yes.
think like they talk about in the Bible, if it's okay for me to say it, um, like when he talks about the herder that has the 100 sheep, where if one sheep gets away, that the farmer will put everything he can to get that one sheep back, even if it means leaving the other 99. So I feel like that's kind of like what we need to do as dads is like, even if it's only one person, we need to make sure that we're helping that one person get to where they need to be and back to where they should be.
Yeah.
Perfect.
For
Mr.
sure.
Pancakes, if somebody wants to reach out to you, where do they go? What do you have for them, and what so have you?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first off, I wanted to tell you, I on Facebook and Instagram have gone viral probably like 3 or 4 times where I had several videos hit 20 million. I've had one hit 50 million, and another one hit like 80 million, something like that. I think 4 times. I had 20,000 followers on Instagram, and the Instagram decided that they don't want me anymore, so they dumped me. So now I have a new Instagram, and it's probably only like a couple hundred now on there. I don't really post on it that often, you know what I mean? Just because it kind of like put a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I can see
But
that.
yeah, it's I would say it's better to work slowly and help less people slowly because you're actually helping them than worry about going viral.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I went viral several times, and I mean my Facebook still has 18,000 followers on it, and my Instagram had like 20, and they for some reason they were like, no conservatives, you're bad, and they shut me down. So I was like, oh well, okay. So but who knows? But yeah, so back to where they could find me. um so obviously pancakeswithyourdad.com. That's the best place for all the pancake stuff. We have a whole blog with all kinds of information and stories and cool stuff. So even some funny recipes and good pancake recipes and stuff. There's don't forget the free woodworking plans. There's plenty of them on there. Download them for free. And don't forget your cool merch. Got my Make Dads Great Again mug right here. Heck yeah.
Love it.
And then as far as the nonprofit, it's going, American Liberty Foundation. So the big website, American-Liberty-Foundation.org, or you can just go to traditionalsociety.com. It's all about just trying to, refocus our youth, as well as help people that are in our current stages, uh, focus their lives to kind of stick with the traditional family style, and just be better for society overall. I did get some cards made. I got some cool cards made to hand out locally. You know, it'll be pretty awesome. I'm going to a meeting this Tuesday, hand them out. So there's more happening, just slowly but surely. For now, I'm kind of a one-man show, so I'm trying to get more people locally here on board. That way I can broaden more and get more help. But yeah, don't forget traditionalsociety.com, or American-Liberty-Foundation.org.
Perfect. And of course, Call with Dads. You can go to callwithdads.com. Call with Dads, one word, at, I think, let me think of all the places. We post our shorts on X, Twitter, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and even TikTok, but I haven't checked TikTok for a while since they keep giving me strikes because TikTok's not a big dad group kind of site, I guess. But that's part of the reason we do this is so that our message gets out there as much as we can. So callwithdads.com is the best place to reach out and send us a message if you want us to help you speak with Aaron or any of the other guests. We can try to help you there as well. But everything we have is at the callwithdads.com. With that, Aaron, hold on. We're going to end the live stream for everybody, but we're going to talk for a few more minutes.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.